In the last 5 years, our country has fought through the most challenging times since the Second World War. As I stand here as your Prime Minister, I can't help but reflect that my first proper introduction to you was just over 4 years ago. I stood behind one of the podiums, upstairs in the building behind me. I told you that we faced a generation-defining moment and that we as a society would not be judged by some government action, but by the small acts of kindness that we showed one another. You met that challenge, and then some, and I have never been prouder to be British. And when I introduced the furlough scheme, I did so not because I saw a country simply in need of desperate help, albeit we were, but because I saw a country whose future hung in the balance. I could be bold and trust in the tens of millions of you at home that you would rise to the moment, or I could accept the inevitable millions of job losses and pick up the pieces. In truth, it was no choice at all. I have never and will never leave the people of this country to face the darkest of days alone. And you know that because you've seen it. As I did then, I will forever do everything in my power to provide you with the strongest possible protection I can. That is my promise to you. Because for so many of us, it's easy to forget the scale of what we've been through. We were hit by a pandemic that upended normal life. Who would have thought that the government would ever tell us how many times a day we could leave our homes? Then, just as we were recovering from COVID, war returned to Europe, with Putin's invasion of Ukraine sending your energy bills spiraling. I came to office, above all, to restore economic stability. Economic stability is the bedrock of any future success, whether that is rising wages and good jobs, investment in our public services, or the defence of the country. And because of our collective sacrifice and your hard work, we have reached 2 major milestones in delivering that stability, showing that when we work together, anything is possible. Our economy is now growing faster than anyone predicted, outpacing Germany, France, and the United States. And this morning it was confirmed that inflation is back to normal. This means that the pressure on prices will ease and mortgage rates will come down. This is proof that the plan and priorities I set out are working. I recognise that it has not always been easy. Some of you will only just be starting to feel the benefits, and for some, it might still be hard when you look at your bank balance. But this hard-earned economic stability was only ever meant to be the beginning. The question now is how, and who do you trust to turn that foundation into a secure future for you, your family, and our country. Now is the moment for Britain to choose its future, to decide whether we want to build on the progress we have made or risk going back to square one with no plan and no certainty. Earlier today, I spoke with His Majesty the King to request the dissolution of Parliament. The King has granted this request, and we will have a general election on the 4th of July.
Welcome back. Turning now to Arizona, where former New York City Mayor and Trump ally Rudy Giuliani pleaded not guilty yesterday to 9 felony charges, including conspiracy, fraud, and forgery for his efforts to overturn the results of the 2020 election there. Giuliani, who was arraigned over video call, was not happy about being ordered to pay a $10,000 bond.
I've been sued about 20 to 25 times by a very, very similar movement to this one, which is the let's see what we can do to destroy Donald Trump movement.
Okay, give me just a moment. Okay, sir,
I think it'd be outrageous if you set a bond in this completely political case that comes very, very late.
All right, sir.
Could have been brought 3 years ago.
Giuliani, I don't want to mute you, but I need to move on.
I don't want to mute you, but I need to move on. Elliot, this is clearly a man who needs money, right? Which is, I think, part of why he was complaining about this. He also yesterday posted the following. We had actually seen, we've discussed this coffee he's hawking on the show before, but now we've actually got an ad for it that says, when you buy his coffee, you are buying a lot more than coffee. Watch.
You all know I stand by the truth. And if I put my name on something, I truly believe in it. Today, I'm thrilled to introduce you to something I'm incredibly proud of. My own brand of organic specialty coffee, Rudy Coffee. It's so good, I even recommend drinking it black. By supporting Rudy Coffee, you're not just treating yourself to exceptional coffee, you're also supporting our cause, the cause of truth, justice, and American democracy.
You too can support American democracy by drinking Rudy's coffee. Reminder, he is being charged with essentially falsely trying to steal the election.
Right, and getting back to what we were talking about before the commercial break, this idea of where we've gone in 2024, how the mighty have fallen. And having grown up outside New York City, Matt, too, I remember Rudy Giuliani on the rubble after 9/11 and literally America's mayor. And watching this is almost sad and pathetic to see. Now, to your point about his needing money, that was actually one of the bases that he claimed for why they couldn't serve process on him. If viewers remember, they couldn't find him to give him this notice of this indictment because he, for some period of time, they finally caught him at his 80th birthday party. Well, he claimed that his apartment, he had to lock it down because people were threatening him, and he doesn't have the money anymore to pay security. Therefore, he would not let court officials up to his apartment to hand him news of his indictment or the indictment. All of this is to say what a horrible place the former mayor is in. But again, he cannot escape the arm of the reach of the law, and he ought to know that. And we'll see.
Yeah, no, innocent until proven guilty, but you're right. Like, I mean, this was made even before he was mayor. The guy took down the mob in New York City in the 80s, was a legendary figure in really taking down that. America's mayor, around 9/11, also cleaned up New York City in a lot of ways and had every blue chip client essentially upon leaving office was very well set if you talked to him, say, in 2004, right? And now where he is, just kind of hawking coffee for what seems like a pretty high price.
$29.99 for 2 pounds.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
It seems a little high to me. Although I don't know, inflation, prices have gone up. All right.
We're going to begin this hour with another round of deadly tornadoes hitting the U.S. This is actually what you're seeing right there, just one of several twisters spotted across Iowa yesterday. The system caused widespread damage in the western part of the state, including Greenfield, Iowa. This is a small city where officials said last night they still don't know how many people died. Our Roxana Saberi is there. Roxana, it looks like utter devastation.
It really is, Anne-Marie, and it's becoming more apparent as the sun rises here this morning. This used to be a neighborhood full of homes, and now it is just piles and piles of debris. We see trees mangled, cars tossed and turned, and just the foundations of some buildings, people's belongings, things like photographs that have been shredded up and just tossed around. Earlier today, it was so quiet here, it was almost apocalyptic.
What a monster! Wow!
Massive tornadoes like this one barreled across Iowa, leaving Greenfield, a city of around 2,000 residents, devastated.
Before I went down the basement, I went all around my house and I prayed. I prayed for God to keep us safe.
Drone video over the city southwest of Des Moines captured what remained. Homes shredded to pieces, vehicles tossed onto lawns, mountains of debris, and trees ripped to their roots.
I know that, some of my friends were hurt and I couldn't get a hold of them. I was scared.
Iowa State Patrol has confirmed at least a dozen people were injured, and there were multiple deaths in the storm.
The Greenfield community has shown incredible unity during this challenging time. The Greenfield community has a long road ahead of them.
The damage here comes less than a month after the state was hit hard by tornadoes. In Adams County yesterday, storm chasers drove through flying debris from another twister. They then looked for survivors at this now leveled home.
There's somebody here? Are you in shelter?
That same tornado snapped wind turbines and set them on fire. Before the extreme weather reached Iowa, neighboring Nebraska was slammed with torrential downpours, hail, and powerful winds. Widespread flooding swamped the Omaha area after up to 6 inches of rain fell, stranding cars and pushing them off the road. Tracy Dunn said there was so much flooding in her apartment that at one point she had to stand on top of her bed.
I don't have nothing. I've lost everything I got, everything.
Back in Greenfield, the city has already begun cleaning up.
We will rebuild this community together. One thing about Greenfield is we're small, but we're mighty.
On the hospital. And they're going to need that community spirit to rebuild. People have started to clean up here. You might be able to hear some of the crews in the distance. The governor of Iowa plans to visit here today, Anne-Marie, to survey the damage.
Roxana, what are you hearing from residents? They must be just sort of devastated.
Yeah, several have been driving through here today. Some have started to pick through the pieces of the rubble. We've seen children picking through, seeing what they can salvage. Our producer, Cassandra, spoke to one man who said that one of his relatives was here yesterday when the tornado hit, and he was tossed into the air 3 blocks away, and he was sent to one of the local hospitals for treatment. We've seen people crying, tearing up, and some just at a loss for words. Anne-Marie and Lindsay.
Somber words really paint a picture. All right, Roxana Saberi, thank you.